Early afternoon to you guys. If you're on the West Coast, early morning to you. This is Ryan Mallory for SharePlanner.com. Today is December 17th, 2012. Doing another session of live charts for you guys where I take the chart requests that you guys post in the splash zone or email me or tweet me and to look at, and I just go ahead and put them all together in one massive video. Typically they run about 10-15 minutes. Have a number of chart requests today, so if there's nothing there, I'm going to move on from it and not talk too long on a stock that there isn't a clear edge on. There is, I'll definitely expand on those stocks. So you could probably tell I'm coming down with a little bit of a cold. The lovely thing about having a young kid in school is that he comes home and gets everybody sick. So I caught whatever he had this weekend, and I'm going to be getting stages of that. So hopefully it doesn't get any worse from here. So there's enough analysis on the website about SPY, about the S&P. So my brief comment is simply that we're in a very strong uptrending day. We are beyond the R3 pivot point on the day. So it would be easy to surmise that perhaps we've seen the large majority of the gains that we're going to see on the day. Typically beyond R3, it's hard for the market to rally much further. We got the bounce that we needed on the daily, so that was huge. That this can hold into the close, which is a big if when you look at what happened on Wednesday of last week. Then you have then you have basically a confirmed light volume pullback that occurred on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of last week. All right, let's go ahead and get to the charts. ILMN. All right, so ILMN, I see this more as a short. You have a double top in the short term. Here's your first top, second top. Right there, you want to get short at let's say, I'd say the ideal short is probably at 51.07. I'd put a stop just above today's highs at 51.93. If it breaks above that, then you probably know that it's let's say put the stop at 52.38. If it breaks above that, you know that the stock isn't quite ready to get short in, and you take a small loss as a result. Good chart as a short. I do like that particular setup. LIFE. No clear edge here. It does have a breakout from last week, but after doing that early on, it pulls back to a support level, so you could make the case that you could reload here. I think it's an iffy setup at best. You got some long-term support going back into March of earlier this year. Just not a very clean chart. Iffy whether or not this pullback holds. You also have a trend line here that is broken. So I don't really like this as a long play. Don't see anything from the short side. If you're in it, I'd probably use today's pop to go ahead and book gains or reduce losses. GNOM. This stock doesn't really offer a clear edge here. I mean, you did have a lot of crazy whipsaw action. Almost looks like something might have happened where, because the volatility has dropped off in this particular stock, like it got bought out, or I don't know. I mean, I don't think that's what the case. It's just behaving in a very tight consolidated fashion. If it breaks above 318, you're probably going to see a move higher. Below 306 or perhaps below 310, you'll see a move lower. But I would play this to the upside, not to the downside. You don't want to be shorting a biotech stock like GNOM. It can rip you sideways to Sunday, so don't get short in that. I probably shouldn't even given you a scenario for going short, because I don't think that's a wise thing to do. So 318 would be my ideal get long point at on GNOM. I'm not a really big crazy fan of low dollar biotech stocks. That's a great way to lose a lot more capital than you set out to lose if the stock goes against you. ADNC. But I guess with going back to GNOM here before I go on to ADNC is that you could probably play it with like a stop at 318, or I'm sorry, an entry at 318, a stop loss at 310. All right, ADNC. Has the look and feel of a stock that's trying to fill this gap up at 17, which is a long ways away, but very, very possible that over the course of the next 9 to 12 months it's able to do that. You can see there's a long-term uptrend still in place. I don't like buying it here. I don't think this is a stock that you buy on the breakout. I think you buy it on a retest of this support level here that I'm going to show you. Boom, right there. Well, let me back that up. You could buy it here at 890, but if you do that, it's going to have broken this upward trend line. So probably the ideal place to buy it is somewhere on this trend line. So like if it was today, that would be like around $9.10, which is 70 cents away. If it's a couple weeks into the future, it's going to be at 963. So keep this on your long-term or on your long watch list and just wait for it to pull back to this trend line here. That's the only way I would play it. And if you are in it already, then I would just keep moving up my stop loss and ride this trend line higher. CMG. Full breakout. We got into this at 278.15. Did what it needed to do today. Trading at 282. Next ideal place for it to clear is this 285 level. Once it does that, I think it should be able to get to 300 with little to no problem. So this is the big hurdle though right here, breaking above this long-term resistance level from here, here, back here, and here. It's doing that today. Needs to hold it going into the close though. All right, next stock, msci. This is another stock that if you're already in it, great. Keep moving up that stop loss. My preferred way of doing it would be to ride this 8-day moving average. If it breaks below it, get out of it. If it doesn't, stay in it. Don't go chasing it at this point though. 30.22 is where you would have wanted to get in on a breakout today. If you miss that, don't go chasing it. FB. You're seeing some distribution here. We thought we could have another additional breakout. That didn't happen. Instead, you got what looks like a double top here with one peak and then a second peak. It's not a textbook double top, but it still works as one. The psychology behind it is basically a double top. So you have a breakdown in resistance on the day that the market is up. FB is dropping. Not a good sign either. 20-day moving average may provide some support. Hasn't done so in the past, however. And I would say you can get short FB. Just be weary of the fact that it can rip hard against you on a moment's notice, kind of like getting short Netflix. You just never know where these kinds of stocks are going to take you. So if I was to trade it, I would probably put my stop loss at around 27.18. You can get in, anywhere between 26.50 and 26.64. So I only see that as a short setup. Definitely don't go long on it. I put a target of 24.15 for covering this short position. PHG, we got into this on Friday, 26.34. It's made a nice little recovery, holding that 8-day moving average like we hope to see it do. It's trying to make a little bit of a red to green move. If so, we could see it move higher into the close as it attracts more buyers. But my plan with this stock is probably to move up the stop loss at the end of today to somewhere at like 26.08, depending on how we finish. May keep it at the original 25.89 if it doesn't move much higher on the day. CLX. Some consolidation here at the top, but it looks like it's more like it's distributing. Volume doesn't paint us much of a picture here, but I see this as a stock rolling over. You have some long-term upward trending to it with off the December lows of last year. I wouldn't look to get long on this unless it retested the $72 level. If you're in it, I'd probably look to start booking gains in this thing right away. L. This is another one that I've been following for a while. It's got like a bear flag to it. It's very, very messy chart. This long-term trend line looks like it wants to break. Don't see it as a long position here. This little bear flag action over the last month or so has me very concerned about any desire to get long on it. If it does bounce off of this level, I have a hard time seeing it break through that 41.48 level, which is only 1% away. So AMD, very interesting chart actually. You know, I'm not a huge fan of $2 stocks, but I could definitely see where some in our chat room where they trade these things successfully, this would be a good candidate. 245. I think you could get long on this one. It's at 244 right now. I would essentially use this 8-day EMA to ride my stop loss on. So the 236 has the 8-day EMA, so maybe put it at like 234, and then rise it up at each day thereafter. That's a little bit of a wide stop loss. So on something like AMD, where the stock could go up, you know, 40-50 cents, you know, on and you're going to have to probably use something like a 10-cent stop loss, which is about, I don't know, 4% or so. So you might want to use like a 3/4 position or a half position size on AMD, but looks pretty good. I would say target maybe like 276, 278 for your target price, but looks very solid. That 245 is your price level there to get long at. Your stop loss 234, just below the 8-day EMA. TM, messy chart. This thing gaps up like it's going out of style. Gaps up and gaps down actually. You could say it tried to break out of a bear or a bull flag last week. Bull flag being, you know, parallel channels that are having a slightly downward consolidation after a nice move higher. It looks sort of like a flagpole. Got a little bit of support here at 85. It's trading at 86. Definitely, if you trade it, you could keep risk tight by probably putting your stop loss at like 84, 86. But this is a stock that's going to give you probably a wild ride. It's going to be a little bit unpredictable in nature based on what you can see here of late. It's sort of moved beyond the breakout level at 85.98, but it's not really that far removed from it, so you could definitely get long on it at this point. And it's probably anywhere between 86 and 86.50 is where I would target my entry price at. ATML, I don't think we've done this one yet, so look at this one here. This candle, I don't like it. I like the price action leading into it. I liked it yesterday, but don't like it what we're seeing out of it today. I would follow this 8-day EMA as well, a rising stop loss, probably at around, say, 559 as my stop loss. Because if it breaks below Friday's lows, that's where I would get out at. I just don't like this chart. It's given up much of the day's gains. If you look at it from a 5-minute perspective, you could see you got a little bit of a bear flag forming after a nasty downtrend. So be wary of that. If it doesn't paint you a better picture today, I would go ahead and take my gains in the stock and move on. PHM, great move in this stock. I think William did a great job in trading it today. Moving up nicely. I would probably go ahead and look at the 5-day or 5-minute chart on this to see where I want to put my stop loss at. If it breaks below 1791, I would go ahead and get out if you're not out already. I wouldn't try to play another breakout on the 5-minute chart. I know this is a little bit of a bull flag pattern here, but that's not something I would want to screw around with and try to get long on after it's up already 4% on the day. Actually, it's more or less like a continuation triangle. So very good chance that it continues to move higher today, but I think you're sort of chasing it at this point. The easy money was made in this area here today, and that's what you want to recognize. How much higher it goes today, I don't know, because on the pivots for the daily, you can see it's well beyond the R3 resistance 3 level. If you could paint more resistance levels, it's probably like at a R6. So heavily overextended, don't go chasing from here. And if you're in it, move your stop loss up to like 1790, 1791. TRN. Let's see here. Not seeing much there to work with. I would stay away from that. I'd say you got bear flag a little bit in the short term there. I don't really see anything substantial to get long on or short on with that. EQIX. I'd say probably $200. It's going to be coming back to a somewhat of a support level there. Once again, I don't see a major reason to get long on it. It looks a little bit like it's distributing some, rolling over. So if you're long on it, I'd probably look to take gains off of this one today as well. Not a lot of shares trading in this one either, folks, like 200 shares. So I don't think that's right, is it? I think it is right. 400 shares, excuse me. Somebody just doubled the output for the day. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking at that on a 5-minute chart. No wonder. Okay, let's look at it from a daily chart. And I probably did the same thing to TRN too, looking at it from a 5-minute chart. But okay, so EQIX breaking above a previous resistance level that I had drawn. I don't think it's a major resistance level. I think the easy money was made by getting long 2 weeks ago at 190. So I wouldn't go chasing this one. I think that's what you're doing at this point if you get long on it. Back to TRN. This is well overextended. If you're in it, I would trail the 8-day moving average. Put my stop somewhere around $34 and move it higher each day thereafter. Don't try to get long on it at this point. Once again, this would be a stock that you'd be chasing by doing so. ZIP. Nice consolidation. Could definitely be a breakout play here. I would look to target getting long at 860. Put my stop loss at 820. Yeah, you don't want to do that. I'd probably just put it below the day's lows on today. Probably like 839. So you're still talking about a 21 cent stop loss, which is less than 3%. Not a bad setup doing that. I would target. You could see this thing try to make a huge run and fill that gap at 1026. You're going to probably have some resistance at 888. Outside of that, I think it looks like it's a pretty decent setup there. And finally, APKT. This was sent in by a person on email. Looks like it's butting its head up against that upper channel. I'd probably be looking to dramatically increase my stop loss on this particular stock, perhaps below the lows of today. If it breaks those, then it would also be below Friday's lows, and I'd get out of it. So don't chase it if you're not in it. That's going to do it. I know it went pretty long today, but we had about 20 charts or so to go through. If you have any questions, feel free to hit me up in the Splash Zone or at Ryan at SharePlanner, Twitter at SharePlanner. God bless you all.